It's the George Plaster Show. 30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. Featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer Watson Brown. And it's a shame it's taken this long to get an introduction for this Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer, Kelly Holcomb, along with young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in and Happy New Year. It is hard to believe we are now at 2024, but such is the case. And this is one of those days that any moron could do this show. I just happen to be your moron. There's a lot to talk about. So let's get right to it. We begin the show with 1 week left in the Titans season with Terry McCormick's Daily Titans Update, brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. Lori told me a couple of weeks ago, with interest rates going down a little, that it might create some new options for some of you that might not have been out there 2-3 months ago. So give her a holler because you might be surprised. Terry McCormick, Main Street Media, joining us. Happy New Year. Happy 2024.
Happy New Year to you guys as well.
So let's start with this. Mike Vrabel today at his press conference sounded like he showed a little bit of fire.
He did. He had some emotion about him. He had stated earlier in the press conference that he felt like it was important for the Titans to try and win this game on Sunday, close out the regular season, on a positive note and whatnot. And then he was asked to elaborate a little later on why he thought it was so important to win. And that's when he said, because losing sucks. And it sounds like he's getting tired of this team losing all the time, as he threw in some other choice adjectives.
Yes, some of which you're not going to use.
Exactly.
Okay. Ryan Tannehill, who has been as close to the vest as a quarterback can be, given that a quarterback has to talk more than any other player, sort of let loose a little bit Sunday when he was asked if some of the plays that were brought in, he knew in his heart wouldn't work.
Well, I think he was asked about the protection of any of those plays had a chance, and he said definitely not. Said that those plays, there was sometimes that he knew the plays didn't have a chance because of the pressure that was on him. And then it was interesting what he said kind of at the end of it. He said he felt sort of like John Wick at the end of one of his movies in terms of, the hero that's embattled and, has overcome the bad guys, but is kind of beat to a pulp in the process.
Terry, yesterday, Michael Lombardi, who's a pretty respected NFL information guy, put it out there again that there are problems between Mike Vrabel and Rand Carthon. Why does this keep being said?
It's a good question, because he also put out there, George, that Vrabel's contract expired at the end of the year. Then he went back and corrected himself, knowing that Vrabel's contract actually was extended last year. And my guess is it wouldn't expire until after 2024 at the earliest. They don't make those types of things public or released to the media. And certainly Mike Vrabel doesn't disclose that type of information to us. But it is interesting that this talk of dissension between Vrabel and Carthon keeps popping up, and most of it is fueled out of the Boston area, where they seem to be on a campaign to try and lure Vrabel away as the potential replacement for Bill Belichick.
Yeah, we'll find out in about a week where that either is or isn't going. Terry, this is me plucking one out of thin air and seeing if it sticks. You ready?
Sure.
Is it possible that some of this is based on a decision that wouldn't feel like a Vrabel decision to bench Ryan Tannehill and go with Will Levis?
Don't know. I mean, it's a good question, but I think that as this season continued to spiral downhill, I think they had to find out what they had in Will Levis. I think that they had to find out if this kid had something. Then when Tannehill was injured, it obviously they had to make the choice between Levis or Malik Willis. They had already seen what Willis could or could not do. So they threw Levis out there, and lo and behold, he was impressive in that first game. And so from that point on, he made the decision, or somebody made the decision, as you put it, to that Levis was the guy going forward. But I do think that while the initial decision to play Levis came out of the Tannehill injury and the necessity to get a look at Levis, I think it kind of forced his hand a little bit when Levis played so well to go, hey, wait a minute, if there was any pushback to him wanting to go back to Tannehill, if that was the case, then I think that, obviously with the way Levis played in that first game, a lot of people probably would have, if there was any pushback, would have said, look, you can't take this kid out because, it would have been different if this team had been 5-2 at the time Tannehill was hurt, because then you go right back to him, even though his contract is up at the end of the year. But in a season that wasn't going anywhere anyway, that had started slowly and never really got out of second gear, I think, whether it was forced or whether it, was a decision he made of his own volition, it was obvious that Will Levis they had to find out what they had. And now that they kind of know, he's the guy going forward.
Terry, Happy New Year to you. You've done a great job with these reports. Look forward to another week of them. And then at some point, another in a series of State of the Unions.
Yes, State of the Union.
State of the Union, which is never a good thing.
No.
See ya.
See ya.
Terry McCormick's Daily Titans Update brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. Yes, interest rates have gone down a little bit. And yes, this might be the time to check back in with her. There may be options out there that have not existed 2-3 months ago. 615-969-4350. We say Happy New Year to Billy Derrick. Billy, how are you?
I'm good, George. How you doing?
I'm good. Let's go to Murphy's. There he is. Let's get him.
There it is.
Let's see. Let's get me centered. You always have this big worry that I'm not
Yeah,
centered.
Let me get centered too. I've already been reprimanded once for my my camera, so I don't need Macaulay Culkin over there telling me what to do. You know what I'm saying?
Who gives a damn whether it's centered or not?
Oh, you want to be like this?
I don't think it matters. I mean, I've thought for a good while the show improves if they don't see me.
Really, you've missed me, haven't you?
I have. What you been up to, Kelly?
Not much, man. Just hanging out, man. Just the holiday season, watching a little football here and there. Going to see my mom, and I got my son still home. He's got to go back this Sunday. So hey, everything's good. It's kosher right now.
I feel like football, with the football ending. I mean, what are we watching today? We watching the Preds tonight? I mean, it's weird not having football.
Well, I'm going to the Preds tonight.
You are.
Yes,
but the last 5-6 days feels like you got a game tonight.
Overload.
Yeah.
Overload.
We got to unwind right now.
By the way, congratulations to Liberty.
Oh my gosh.
This is the problem when a group of 5 gets in there, is if you want to continue to get recognized, you can't lay this kind of stink bomb.
Well, in SMU, a lot of people said SMU was more deserving over Liberty. But at the same time, George, last year, Tulane.
I know, and that's the problem, is it's kind of a 50-50.
Yeah.
That some years it goes great, and then others it's a big tile. It's a dial flip.
That crowd wasn't great either.
Turn to the other channel. Do you have an update?
I do, and
really?
I'm sure we're gonna hold off on a lot of the college football playoff talk.
Let me tell you the way we're gonna do it. We're gonna get Tony Basilio on to talk Tennessee's bowl game during this hour. And then the 3 o'clock will be total college football playoff stuff that comes out of it. Why did Alabama send out, we need more NIL money?
The old
That was
plea.
interesting, yeah.
Well,
that's so tacky.
I'll save the opinions and hot takes and rumors going around for the 3 o'clock hour. But NFL news: the Jets are waiving Dalvin Cook. They are. He's 28 years old.
Why did they sign him to begin with if they weren't going to use him?
I don't know.
Is that a fair question?
He was just going to be a partner for Aaron Rodgers, and then that all went awry, and then there you go. There's nowhere for him.
He's restructuring his deal to forfeit the remaining guaranteed money, source told Adam Schefter.
There's some teams that could use him.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Speaking of that, do the Titans look at, say Derrick Henry is not a Titan next year. Do you think who's their third string back right now? I think that's obviously Spears would be the guy you would guess. Do they go pick up a guy? But running back probably isn't the biggest need right now.
So if all these conspiracy theories are right, Belichick's coming here and Vrabel's going up there. Coach, any chance of Dalvin Cook? We're on to Cincinnati.
On to Cincinnati. Is that a rumor, George? It's going around?
No, I'm just, you got all these little conspiracy theories that this is going to happen. They're going to trade head coaches, whatever.
Well, Belichick did say the focus is the Jets.
Well, of course it is.
Not his job security.
And he hates the Jets because he was the Jets head coach for one day.
One day.
Remember it?
That's right. Yes. That was the most screwed up situation I've ever seen in my life.
So I think you and Watson brought that up at some point last year. What happened?
Well, it was all around Kraft and Bill Parcells were not getting along. And it got out the week of the Super Bowl that Parcells was going to bolt. And he basically accepted the Jets job. But then there was compensation issues. And so the Jets decided to name Belichick the head coach. And he holds this press conference. And then one day later reads a resignation statement. It was crazy.
Crazy.
Those were good times.
In other news, Kenny Pickett has denied rumors that he refused to be the Steelers' backup quarterback on Sunday. He said it was either I was going to start and play, or if they didn't think I was good enough to do that, healthy enough, I was going to be the 3 and not dress. So
to me, this is a deal where if you report that, and I don't know where it got out, but if you report that as a writer, you are really questioning a kid's character. You damn well better be right if you put that out there.
Yeah, that's
true.
It's pretty rare for something like that.
Yeah, because that's got all kinds of connotations, prima donna. I don't think Kenny Pickett is that way at all. I don't believe that story.
No.
In other news, the Rams head coach Sean McVay has made a promise that he'll coach the 2024 season. I don't really understand why. Where this speculation came.
I'll tell you where, because he came very close to getting out 2 years ago after they won the Super Bowl. And I believe I'm right, interviewed with some of the TV networks about, game analyst kind of stuff. And they got out there.
Yeah. So just that's what I hate about it. It gets out there. So you're forced to, respond to it even.
Yeah. But listen, before we, hold a pity party, they're making really good money.
That's true.
Who cares?
Yeah. Well, that's all I got, George. I'm saving all the other details.
How would you rate that update, Kelly?
I don't know. There wasn't much meat on the bone. Obviously, he feels like he's saving it for later. He didn't want to spoil stuff. But I don't know, George. Like, is there any more sports things going on there, Billy? There's a lot of things going on.
The Preds have got the Blackhawks tonight.
Connor Stallions was spotted at the Rose Bowl.
Was he really?
I saw that on CBS Sports.
No kidding.
Just now.
Did he have good seats?
He was apparently in attendance. I'm not sure where he sat.
Yeah. Wow. I wonder if he met.
Did he have his binoculars or his video camera with him?
Apparently, he was with Chase Winovich, former Wolverine player, and
Yeah.
he was at the game.
Huh.
What are the odds?
So Connor had enough money to make it out there.
I guess he did.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay. After the break, Tony Basilio from Knoxville. And we asked the question, what if Nico had been playing in October?
What if?
What if? A lot of what ifs coming up next.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
I'm Watson Brown.
I'm Kelly Holcomb.
I'm Billy Derrick.
We're the George Plaster Show. We've been Nashville's best sports talk for the last 30 years. And you know what? We still are.
Catch us live weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time in Nashville on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, the podcast version is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs. Okay, we're back. Happy New Year. It's 2024 as we say hello to Knoxville sports talk show host extraordinaire, Tony Basilio. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, both of you gentlemen. Great to be here in 2024.
Can
Yes,
we
sir.
agree that Kirk Ferentz deserves like I don't know, a Congressional Medal of Honor for getting that team to 10 wins. Good
Where
Lord.
was his quarterback throwing the ball a couple of times? Good gracious. I could have completed some of those balls underhanded.
Somebody compared him on my show to Sonny Jurgensen today, and I said, what, like at 85? I mean, what are you kidding me? Sonny Jurgensen played in the NFL.
And they brought
he's
their
pretty good.
Brought the backup in, and he kind of lit it up there a little late.
Well, sadly, it gave me flashbacks of when I was Vandy's announcer and we had Damian Allen.
Oh, wow.
And it was not a pretty sight whatsoever. And anyway, that's just sort of a sidebar to the real stuff, which is, I'll guarantee, without having heard a minute of your post game, that people were calling going, what if Heupel had played this kid in October? How much different would it have been?
George, that guy's special, man. You know, those guys right there, we were talking today on the air. You have him for 2 years. I don't think there's a program in the country that wouldn't trade with you. Their quarterback for that guy for 2 years right now. I mean, this guy he's like the kid that was the number 1 pick to the Carolina Panthers at the collegiate level plus 6 inches. He reminds me of Randall Cunningham. I grew up an Eagles fan, and he's got that angular long stride thing, that ability to run, and then that ability to pull up and let it go on the outside. And I'll tell you, these fans have waited a long, long time to be relevant, and having that guy makes you relevant.
Are they at all critical about the question I've asked? And there's no way for me to know, not being out at practice every day, that kind of thing. But was he this ready in October? And if he was, why didn't Heupel pull the trigger?
I've had people tell me from behind the scenes that I trust that this guy is extremely special. I had somebody tell me that last year he was how do you put this? When he walked out there in December on the field, he was one of their best players already. Last year, bowl practice, he was out there just kind of giving Tennessee a look for the Orange Bowl last year, but he was already kind of ready-made. But look, they made the decision that when Joe Milton had their great bowl game, they didn't want to lose the locker room. They wanted to go with Joe Milton. It's what they did. I'm not sure how much different the record would have been. Nico was kind of slender, is kind of slender.
Yep.
I don't know if you want to expose him to a full schedule. I would have liked to have seen them use him, goal line packages, short yardage type situations, RPO deals. I thought it was very strange that you could have a talent like that on your team all year and just sit him over there and not play him. I don't know how you do that, but they have more restraint than I do, because, George, I would have found a way to play him. And people say, well, he wanted the red shirt. Red shirt what? He's not going to be here in 3 years. There's no way that guy's playing college football his senior year the way it works right now. No way.
Oh, you're absolutely right about that. And I'm going to want to get Kelly into this conversation. I mean, it became apparent like 5 plays in. Yeah. Okay, massive poise. Looks like he belongs. Looks like he knows exactly where to go with the football. I mean, Kelly, I just was like, oh, my God, this kid is the real deal.
Yeah, I'll agree with you. I do want to say this because we don't know where guys are going. He's what is he, Tony? Is he 6'6"? He's 6'6". So he's got – yeah, I mean, he's a good-looking kid. I mean, we got to pump the brakes a little bit, obviously. I mean, that was just – and he was going against Iowa, and Iowa's got a really good defense, but they didn't have according to Mel Kiper, they didn't have their best DB playing. I'm sure they had some opt-outs, but, he looked really good. And that presents me, Tony, with this, and I asked you this months ago, do you think that Josh Heupel knew that they weren't going to be as good as they were the year before, and he wanted – I know you just said that about Joe Milton, about going out in the Orange Bowl. He played really well last year. They didn't want to lose the locker room. But, like, if that guy, if you think he's going to give you the best opportunity to win, why don't you just throw him out there? I mean, I don't think Joe Milton, and we've all talked about this, I don't think Joe Milton probably gave them the best chance to win. Maybe they wouldn't have been any better. Maybe their record wouldn't have showed it. I'm not sure. But, like, I can always remember Coach Donnelly saying, I'm not going to lose with a senior. I'm going to play a freshman. And if the guy's got that kind of talent, I don't know. What you say?
Heupel staff, they don't have that mentality, guys. They just don't. These guys are sure thing guys. And Joe Milton, they brought him in from Michigan. He liked him when he was at Central Florida. And if he didn't get hurt, I'm not sure we would know Hendon Hooker's name. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny. So that's in that equation, right? The thought of, hey, I could turn this guy into a quarterback. Look at his arm. Obviously, right now, right this second, right now, that freshman who's played coming into yesterday about 40 snaps of college football was a lot better than Joe Milton right now. Now, I say that, and then we back up. The question is your year any different? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, do you win at Florida? You take a freshman down there that's never really played. Are you going to win at Florida with him? And then are you going to survive with that body, as slender as he is, and as beat up as that offensive line got this year? Are you going to survive the rigors of playing in the Southeastern Conference? That's why on my program, I chose to celebrate the fact that this guy looks like he's got the upside that we haven't seen here since probably the Manning. I mean, to be honest about it. And you don't know how these things are going to go. Is he going to continue to work hard? Is he going to develop? Is he going to stay injury-free? Are they going to surround him with, quality playmakers and put a good enough team around him? Who knows? All those things are still open to debate and what makes sports really interesting. But the truth is that there aren't 3 guys in college football that teams around the country would trade for him, for 2 years of him. There just aren't. And that's the reality of it. Now it comes down to, can I put enough people around him to mask the other deficiencies of my team that gets me into a 12-team playoff? And
can we all agree?
Question. Yeah.
Can we all agree that there had to be in Heupel a tossing and turning at night about this? Really?
I don't think so. Don't think so.
God, how can that be?
I'm just telling you. They made that decision, and I was told by some people, hey, you make a lot of noise and you're making all the noise, and I'm like, look, this thing's a meritocracy, and you guys ought to let that kid play. And they were like, well, there's belief that the family wanted him to redshirt. Again, if I'm paying you $2 million, you don't get a say whether you redshirt or not. To me, to me, this is me.
To
now.
me too.
To me,
absolutely.
That's just me. If that money's real, and I'm paying you even close to that kind of money, I'm going to call the shot on whether you redshirt, unless you don't want the money for that first year when you're just going to sit there and learn. Now, if we're going to work that, that's just me. But the other side of it is I don't second guess it, because at the end of the day, he's healthy coming into next year, and he looked very ready to play. Now, if he would have gone in there yesterday and looked like a deer in the headlights, then you could say, well, he looks so good. My partner, Bino Jeff Henderson, had a great line Friday on our Friday show. He said, either way, Heupel's going to look like a fool in this deal. Because if he goes out there and he doesn't look ready to play, he's going to look like a fool.
Yeah.
Because why do you get the guy ready to play? And then if he goes out there and he looks like he did yesterday, everybody's going to say, well, like George Plaster, what are you doing? Like, we had John Adams on from the News Sentinel, and he was like, you mean to tell me you couldn't have found a way to get that guy on the field? You don't have playmakers. That was John's point. John's point is you had an offense that you could make plays, and you couldn't find a way to get that guy on the field, which I personally agree with that. Now, I wouldn't have started him and played him all the time, but I would have found situations to use him, because I'll tell you something, guys, around the goal line, I mean, imagine him and the way he was, and Kelly, I mean, the way the ball fakes and the things the guy was doing were just so natural. I play a lot of music, okay? I compare that to, and people that are musical understand this, I compare it to a jazz musician. When a jazz musician, you play with those people, they can hear what the guy playing drums is doing, the gal playing the bass, somebody over here playing piano. They can hear it all. Me, I'm worried about my part. You know what I mean? And that's what most people are. Nico, I'm watching him yesterday, and you can see he's just kind of processing. He's got that thing way more down than Joe Milton does right now. Am I lying, Kelly?
No, you're absolutely right.
Right now.
You're absolutely right. There's some guys that's just, and George, this is a thing, Billy. Like, you either got it or you don't. And some guys have it. I was fortunate enough, to be in that position where, I started as a true freshman. I had it. I just could see things. I could do things. I was a competitor. You just throw me into that position. It seems like that's kind of what he is, man. He looks natural doing things. He looked natural throwing the ball yesterday. Like, he made some throws that Joe Milton struggles with. I mean, he looked really good, man. It's his first game. We get that. I get that. And we do. He's a young guy. He's going to have some ups. He's going to have some downs too.
Sure.
That's part of playing the game.
Sure.
But there's just some guys that it just comes to naturally. And that's the guys that are able to go on and make a career out of this thing.
Hey, Kelly.
And he's going to have to deal with the adversity of playing in this league. And if playing, like I was looking at one of the sports books has Tennessee 8th best odds to win the national championship in the SEC next year. Not nationally, in the SEC. And our fan base expectation here now is get to the playoffs during this guy's tenure. Get to the playoffs. If you don't do that, you failed. And I think that's fair. I think in the next couple of years, when you have one of these guys, you should play in a playoff if you're doing your job recruiting the rest of your roster and developing the guys that are on your roster. I think that's a fair assessment.
Y'all think about the ratcheting up of expectations that's coming out of this, the season ticket sales, SEC football media days.
Sure.
Holy cow.
And seeing Danny White's game, he's going to raise those ticket prices too. I was laughing with the fans today. I said, get ready. Get ready for it. Because they're going to charge you for it. And when I saw that kid yesterday, I was going, cha-ching. Because, look, George, you and I both know it's really good for my business. People have this misconception about what we do, that it's really good to lose. Let me tell you something. You don't sell products when you're losing. People, when they're feeling good, they spend money. And you know what? People, when they're feeling good, want to tune in something and feel good about it. And that's why I have not been doing the rearview mirror thing about this season and what if he'd have played, what if he didn't. The important thing is you got one of these guys.
Yes.
And I'm not overreacting to it either. I mean, like Kelly said, to me, I just love the feel of the game. I mean, his numbers weren't all that great yesterday. They weren't. Like, if you were to look at his stat line versus the guy from USC, boy, the guy from USC, first, look at those numbers, 6 touchdowns. Hey, let me tell you something. You called the guy at USC and say, hey, you want to make a trade? They would trade you tomorrow. Tomorrow they would make you the trade. So at the end of the day, Tennessee has this guy. Now what can they do with him? It's going to be really fun around here. Really fun.
Take it, Kelly.
Well, I just want to know what, it's a never-ending story. What's going on with the transfer portal at UT? I mean, I've heard that there's a lot of guys. Is there a lot of guys bolting, leaving? Are there guys coming in? Are we hearing anything? What's going on?
The guys that left are already gone. The question becomes, what are you going to do if you're Tennessee? The Stewart kid from Texas A&M's out there, the wide receiver. They got the really good wide receiver from Tulane. Between the last time I was on with you guys and now, 6'4" kid that he's thought to be kind of a possession guy. Brazel, however you pronounce his name. He's not a take the top off a defense guy. They've got a couple of young kids. Staley's one of them. Matthew's another one that's a 5-star. One's a 4, one's a 5. Young guys, based on what I've seen so far under Heupel, I don't know how much of an opportunity you're going to get as a freshman to play. You better be great. Brew McCoy, there's a chance that he comes back. I mean, I don't know what Brew wants to do with football, but to me, he's not an NFL player. And if I were him, I would come back and play with this kid for a year and put up some huge numbers. Or at least make a run at putting up some huge numbers to help my stock. I think it'd be a lot of fun for him and good for him to come back and play. Tennessee's got an opportunity, though. See, I think yesterday really helps them credibility-wise in recruiting. It's going to help them with the class that will sign next December, many of whom those guys make decisions now, April, May. Having that guy go out there, Joe Milton opting out. And this is the crazy thing about this deal, guys, is if Joe Milton would have decided, hey, I'm going to play that bowl game, which I think they helped him opt out, to be completely honest about it, based on what I've been able to figure out.
A little nudge.
But if he would have played, Josh Heupel would have played him 90% of that game yesterday. That's what would have happened. That's how head coaches are. That's it. They're always going to take the safe thing. You guys were asking, what are you going to do? Tennessee's still trying to add to their defense. So back to the portal. I've got like seven different thoughts going through my brain at one time. It's like living inhabiting a body with 9 different really intelligent people inside of it all at once. But they are trying to add to their defense. They've got a kid who was an all AAC defensive back from Temple, one of my Philly boys, coming in here tomorrow. They have a great opportunity at getting him. The Stewart guy is kind of interesting because it looks like Ole Miss has sort of walked away from him. He is a diva and a half. This guy has a tremendous following on social media. He's monetized it. He does all kinds of crazy things on social media. He's thought to be one of these real headstrong wide receivers. What was the kid's Beckham? The kid at LSU. What was that guy's name?
Odell Beckham Jr.
He's got that
Odell?
kind of thing about him, except he doesn't have the production to this point. So he's potentially a headache. He's a boomer bust guy. Heupel's a big culture guy. Do I want to introduce a guy like that into my culture? Look, if I have Nico and I'm them, Kelly, I'm putting the pedal to the metal and I'm throwing 2 great wide receivers around him if I can. I'm going to do everything in my power to put 2 great wide receivers around him because that's exactly what Georgia would do. That's exactly what Alabama would do. And that is exactly what Washington did with that Penix guy. They got him out of the portal and they put 2 excellent receivers around him.
Boy, they sure did.
And that's where they
I
are.
agree.
Look where they are.
What is y'all's? Just give me y'all's and this goes to everybody, Billy too. Like,
Yeah.
what is it? What are y'all feelings about the opt out stuff? I mean, I was really cool with what Bo Nix did yesterday because Bo Nix didn't have to play, but he's been there. I'm one of those guys that if I could have had a shot to go to the NFL, and I knew that, I'm still going to play with my team. And I just is there some incentive that these colleges are going to have to do with this NIL money saying, if we're paying you this money, you need to play for us in the bowl game? I mean, will that ever come to that point?
No.
Or what is y'all's deal with the opt-out? What is y'all's feelings?
Well, first of all, NIL money's not pay for play. It can't be, or it's illegal. See, that's part of the game. That's part of the game.
Yeah, okay.
There are kids that have gotten paid by schools, NIL money, that have transferred and said, I'm not paying you a dime back. There's really nothing you can do about it. You're giving them that money for their name, image, and likeness. Now you're signing something, and I guess they could say we're not going to release your right, but who's going to play hardball with a kid? Do you want to be the one splashed on ESPN that's suing a kid and then trying to recruit future classes? The assistant coaches, Kelly, have created this thing.
Yeah.
We have coordinators. Look, when Tennessee played for a national title in '98, I'm not knocking David Cutcliffe. I'm not. But when they played for a national championship in '98, he left to go to Ole Miss, and Randy Sanders called the plays in the national championship game. That happened. That's been going on for over a generation. And you know what? When you do that, don't come crying to me when the kids leave, because it's the same thing. If you make it about business, am I wrong, George? I mean,
it's a weird vibe that. The coach says, well, I've got to get to recruiting. This is all we've got. But can we at least admit we would all like to see all these kids play?
Yep.
Yeah.
What's really sad is what happened to Florida State the other night. That
is a tragedy.
What Georgia did to them is disgraceful. I hope one day, if Kirby Smart gets in that spot, somebody beats the hell out of him on national television and embarrasses him like that. Because
don't you think he did it, though, to try to bring light to – because at the press conference afterwards, he went off about this is pathetic. Now, what he did wasn't great.
Why you do that?
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I don't like it. Those kids, the kids that put the Florida State uniform on that night, they're the ones that answered the bell. To Kelly's point, I mean, why do I want to do that to those kids? That's our JV team.
Yeah.
They had 24 kids that didn't play. I mean, that was our JV team.
The Orange Bowl really got screwed over in this thing because they got an inter-squad scrimmage. That's all they got.
And I haven't looked at those numbers, but yeah.
Tony, don't y'all think this is something where they're going to have a rule? Like, now they're signing kids early instead of waiting until like February like they used to do. Why can't we push everything to February? Like, coaches cannot leave till February. You cannot be signed by another team till February. That makes all this different.
The problem, Kelly, with college football is what the problem's been for 25 years, which is how we've gotten here. No commissioner, no leadership structure. And as long as you let these conference commissioners call the shot, these guys are pigs, man. These guys are pigs. They don't care. They're pigs. And they played pig poker with each other. And the guy on the West Coast doesn't exist anymore. That's all that is. That was a game of pig poker. And he got, he's on barbecue now. And the next, they're going to try to see who else they can barbecue. The guy in the ACC is up next. He's going, and there's going to be one head pig left when it's all said and done. I mean, but to your point, obviously you would push it all back. Obviously you would have, like in the NFL, if you mess with an assistant coach that's whose team's involved in a playoff,
oh my God,
lose draft picks for that.
Yeah.
But in this deal, you are incentivized to do it. Go and recruit go and get my coordinator.
So okay, we've all been on this. College football needs a commissioner.
Yeah.
Is there in your mind the perfect name out there?
No, I couldn't think of one. No.
Yeah, no.
Mm-mm.
No.
That's tough. You got somebody, George?
Well, I will say this, and I'm not meaning this as a suck up, although it'll sound like it. When I hear Mac Brown talk on television, the guy makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, somebody like that. I would lean toward Mac Brown, Saban, somebody like that.
You're looking for a CM Newton type.
Correct.
Dressed in football gear.
You're going to have to be somebody, though. I think Saban over Mac. I think Mac's got those political sensibilities, is my sense about him, which might make him good at it. But a guy that's not afraid to say, hey, this is what we're going to do, and this is what we're going to do. I don't care who it makes mad, who it makes angry. And maybe
that would be more Bob Stoops, wouldn't it?
Stoops, Saban, those types of people, yeah. Saban, when he talks, makes a lot of sense. I mean, when I hear him talk about the game, even though I hate to admit it, but, we've gotten here. It's real easy to blame the kids, guys. I just don't. Those coaches for years and years have told them these bowl games don't matter. There was a Tulane team that went 12-0 one year, and one of the Bowdens, I forget which one, took that job at Clemson, left his team.
Yeah.
What's the message?
Sean King was the quarterback.
I remember that. Yeah, Sean King. And I'm going to get mad at the kids? I mean, I know what you're saying, Kelly. I know, like in our day, Kelly, if you left your team, they would, like when you were taking your stuff out of the dorm, they meet you out back and beat you up and work you over.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now they come party with you. Now you opt out. You go stand on the sidelines and party with them.
It's absurd. I've never seen anything like it before in my life. I just don't understand. Like, I just am not built that way. I mean, I guess we're not built that way. The generation that we grew up, we're not built like loyalty is something to us, and there's no loyalty whatsoever going on. Like I see these guys, like the Joe Milton. I mean, he's over there. Like, I just couldn't do that. I know that they probably didn't want him to play, but like Brock Bauer, I mean, he's over there on the sideline, the best tight end in the country, probably one of the best that's come out since Gronk. But like, I couldn't do that to my team. I really couldn't. I just don't have that in me.
In all fairness to the kid from Georgia, when he got hurt earlier in the year, a lot of those guys would have pulled. A lot of those guys would have never come back and not
come back at all.
So he gets a lot of credit for that. But I do see what you're saying. Somebody said Uncle Worm over here, Watson Brown. I think he would be a great voice in the room.
He makes a lot of sense.
But the problem with a guy like Watson Brown is he's too logical. The NCAA, man, I mean, I'm just telling you, they're succeeding in spite of themselves. Their sport is as popular now as it's ever been. And next year when they go to that 12-team deal, it is going to be so popular. The thing they really need to do is cut this group of 5 nonsense out, giving them a spot in the playoff. They need to have their own playoff. Let those kids play for their own championship. We'll all watch it. We'll all celebrate it. And it'll get huge numbers.
DraftKings will sponsor. How much
fun that would be?
I agree. I mean, I kind of agree with that. I mean, yesterday you kind of saw just the difference between the group of 5 to the Power 5.
If you let middle, right, and they got into like that 12-team, their own 12-team playoff, you have 60 teams in each division. I mean, how much fun would that be? And the stadium down there would be full.
Yeah.
Hey, that thing they play, the 1AA deal, they fill those stadiums. And it's a good product. I love that 1AA stuff. It's good football.
Okay, do this for me. You got basketball inside the conference starting Saturday. Where can they hear you after the game's over?
So we're doing one tonight after the game. I mean, look at me. I look as we were on for 5.5 hours yesterday. We were on until the end of the Alabama game. And I started my daily show today asking the guys that were on with me. I said, tell me about the end of last night's game. And they said, what do you mean? I said, I didn't see it. I went upstairs, ate something, sat there and watched that second half right into the fourth quarter when Washington scored to go up 13. I went like this, look. And I woke up at like 2:30 with like slobber all over me in an empty room. And my family was sitting there at one point. And then I woke up, I guess that's a prelude of things to come. Well, at any rate, tclub.team is where you find us. We're going to be tracking the portal. After every basketball game, we're on with our Garza Law Tennessee basketball overtime program. Last night we were on I can't get enough of it. My New Year's resolution is my saying, which is on the floor in 24. My goal is to burn myself out to the point where I'm in a fetal position.
Well, now don't forget, you'll be coming to Nashville in a week. I'm guessing there'll be an autograph session in the concourse of Bridgestone.
Concourse of Bridgestone. What's a good we got to talk about that for next week's show, George.
Yes.
What would be a good we'll do it in between the first and second period, and then what section would you recommend?
304, where I sit.
Meet and greet. 304.
Come on up.
304. So, George, do you have, like, when you're there, I mean, obviously people recognize you. George like the mayor, right? George like
they
the
don't give a damn. They could care less.
Absolutely. Knows everybody. Knows everybody.
I bet you get mugged.
It's kind of disheartening to know that he knows all these people too, Tony. It's really disheartening to me.
Really, when you're out there and you're hopping?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you go to his bowling tournament, like I can't imagine that he has that many friends. It's really disheartening to me.
Here's what I do, George Plaster. I saved the team. Damn glad to meet you.
Do they give you the we recognize your voice, George, when you go into places?
You get a lot of that, and a lot of them tell me just up front, you look better on radio.
Oh yeah. I get that. I get that you have a face for radio.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You get a lot of that.
Your nose really isn't that big. I always talk about how big my nose is on the air, and they'll go, "Your nose really isn't that big," or "You really don't look like a Muppet like you say you do." So I like self-deprecating.
I've gotten all of them.
Yeah.
Hey, between first and second period, I think we set up some sort of a table for you.
Like the wrestlers do.
What I'll do, I'll be the pregame show. Yes, you can say hello to me, but Tony, for $50, we'll sign your.
Mm-hmm. I'll sign 8x10s.
Absolutely. See ya.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I'll be talking to you. I've got his tickets.
Oh.
Or I will have his tickets sometime next week. Oh, no, there's no hopefully to it. They're paid for. After the break, I have no idea what we're going to do, but Watson Brown's going to join us at 3 o'clock, and we're going to spend the entire 3 o'clock hour on a night of college football that, for all the NIL and for all the crap that we don't like, those two games were awesome.
Yeah.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
This is going to be a very short segment. It may be the shortest segment in the history of segments, but at 3 o'clock, we're going to get down and dirty on what went on yesterday afternoon and last night. 2 great games. Kelly, I had Billy check to see if the rating numbers have gotten out. I had been saying this for a while, that I thought the Alabama-Michigan semifinal game would be the most watched semifinal game since the college football playoff began.
Was it?
Don't know yet.
Yeah, they're not. I'm not seeing them. I usually get a notification. I'm not seeing any yet.
Yeah, that was that was an unbelievable game, man. It's just mistakes by both teams, and I'm sure we'll talk about it with Watson. But yeah, it's just amazing that Alabama has even made it that far, guys. We were talking about them after the USF game, saying that
Yes.
was the worst team that Nick Saban's had. He's not going to have anything. They don't have a quarterback, and he got those dudes to 12 wins. I mean, that's the most impressive thing I've seen from that guy. And I mean, he's won 7 national championships. So just to be even in that game was kind of remarkable.
He got everything out of that team.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just
Everything.
The only person that comes as close to that definition, got everything out of a team, is Kirk Ferentz. God, to get 10 wins out of that bunch.
That didn't even look like it bothered him yesterday. Like his face never changed. He understands where he is, where they're at. Their quarterback situation was horrendous,
Oh.
man. I hate talking about young men, man, because they're doing the best they can, but they're just they're in a situation where they're not very good, and they got stuck with that because the Cade McNamara kid got hurt. I don't know if he would have made that any better. I mean, it just doesn't look like they have playmakers on that offensive side of the ball anyway. And you got guys opting out on the defensive side of the ball, just made for a runaway for Tennessee yesterday.
By the way, if you go outside right now and you hear some crowd noise, Oregon just scored.
Why are you hitting on Liberty, George?
Oh, I'm not, because I feel bad. About 50% of these group of 5 games turn out to be classics, and the other 50% end up being duds. And the problem is Liberty needed to stay close to fuel the whole group of 5 belongs in the playoff.
I totally agree, man. They didn't. Conference USA's down, George. They didn't play much this past year. They got a good football team. I mean, the coach, he came over from Coastal Carolina, got a really young quarterback that's a freshman that can run and throw the ball. But they weren't really tested this year in Conference USA, and I don't know if they didn't play anybody. I mean, that's really what it boils down to.
Okay, after the break, Watson Brown's going to join us from Cookeville, and we're going to get down and dirty on these 2 games. We're going to look back on what a 12-team playoff would have looked like this year, because next year we're going to have it, and I think it's going to be great. So please stick around.
Convenience and value, 2 words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com. Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday.
All right, I'm here with my buddy Chip Ward from Lincoln Home Loans. And Chip, it's football season, and it feels like it's moving season every time of the year, especially here in Nashville. Tell us about your business, Chip, and kind of introduce people to who you are and what you do here in the Nashville area.
Well, you're exactly right, Billy. It is definitely moving season, as it is most times, especially right here after Labor Day. Kids are back in school, and people are starting to think they want to get settled in before the holidays. And so what we are doing is right now we are getting a lot of people pre-approved for home loans. Inventory has ticked up a little bit. You know, it has been down, but it's rebounding a little bit. And right now is a good time to buy.
Chip, real quick before I let you go, tell people how they can reach you. And if someone is interested in your business, how would they reach out to you?
Well, sure. At Lincoln Home Loans, you can reach me at 615-500-7579. My URL for my application page is chipward.net, and my email address is simply chip@chipward.net. And so I'd love to hear from anybody. I can answer any questions about the whole home buying and financing process.
About 5 minutes past the hour on a Tuesday. We're recapping the college football playoff here shortly, but first stat of the day brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards out in Shelbyville. Let's see what Matthew's got cooked up for us today. On Sunday, the Chiefs clinched their 8th consecutive AFC West division title, which breaks a tie with what other team for the second longest division title streak in NFL history?
Oh, wow. Okay, Kelly, this needs to be a New Year's resolution that we kick butt.
The Kansas City Chiefs clinched their 8 consecutive.
So, first of all, did Brady not win a bunch of them in a row in New England?
Yeah, I mean it's new. It's got to be New England because they won I think they won 14 or 15 in a row, George.
We're going New
But
England.
it breaks it.
All right.
But that's not the question, is it?
Okay, wait a minute.
Breaks,
for the second longest.
Yes, which breaks a tie with what team for the second longest division title streak in NFL history?
So I've got to retain info when I see that question.
Yeah.
Okay, got any thoughts?
None.
Okay,
AFC West division. Are we staying in the AFC West, Billy? Or is it just the AFC?
It's not even that.
It's
See,
not
it's
even
NFL history.
Well, I mean, it's going back a ways. This is, I want to say any division.
I'll say the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, let's go with that. What the hell?
The 70s Rams.
Oh, good Lord. Vince Ferragamo. Wow.
Vince Ferragamo.
Wow.
Nice, George.
Yeah, well.
Billy don't even know who Vince Ferragamo is.
No.
Look it up. Google it, Billy. Grow up.
Got it. Those are some nice uniforms.
They are. They look actually, they don't look similar to what the Rams are wearing now.
They'd look better.
Let's get to the business at hand, though. We've got a guy who just got nominated moments ago to be the commissioner of college football, and that's Coach Watson Brown. And we welcome him and say Happy New Year. How much money is it going to take?
Oh, millions.
Wow.
So,
millions.
Okay.
No, thank you. I guess I'm saying no, thank you. Just period.
Okay. Let me toss it out here this way.
Okay.
Is there a person that you believe is the perfect choice for what you've been saying college football needs?
Boy, I'd have to think that one out. I can give you the criteria, but I can't name a name, though.
Okay.
I mean, the criteria is need to be a coach. It helps if you've been an administrator on top of that, in my opinion. There were a bunch of them for a long while. that did both of those. So that would be the two big things to me. That we do all this outside stuff, and they don't understand what all goes on the inside. Players understand it, coaches understand it. I'm not sure anybody else does. A coach that's been an administrator, I think, would even be better because he gets the feel of both sides. He understands what it's all about in this financial piece and how to put everything together. So I don't know. I don't know if the guy's out there, but we got to get one. We got to get one, period. It's got to happen. We can't keep going with all of these issues that just keep popping up. I brought up another one I think is going to pop up, and there's going to be players not getting paid, and then that's going to become public. And they're going to start suing the universities or whatever. I didn't get paid. I was promised this, and I only got half of it. It's coming. Get ready. It's coming.
Okay, to the two games that we saw yesterday, both of which were great, can we agree on the front end that the fact that Alabama-Michigan turned out to be an instant classic should be no surprise? They looked incredibly evenly matched going in. I'm not shocked at all that this one was a classic.
No, George, we said that. I've been on with you, and I'm sure all of you all said the same thing. But when I've been on with you, I've said many times, this is going to be a really close and a really good game. And everybody, I think, kind of thought Alabama would get them pretty easy, maybe 10 points, 14 points. But I just never thought that. Michigan's good. Michigan's good, and they proved to me last night they know how to close it out. They can handle the heat. It's the first time I felt that about Michigan in a long while. They've got some players that can handle the heat, man, and it's neat to watch them. And that defense is really good, in my opinion. That's where they're bona fide. Their defense is really good.
Kelly, go.
Well, I just, and I don't know if Coach thinks this yesterday, but I've never, of course, I just said it before the break. I mean, it's remarkable that Alabama was even in this position with the way that they started the year and everybody had written them off. But I was just, I sit here yesterday watching the game and I was talking to my son, and it was amazing how the O-line for Michigan kind of dominated the game to begin the game.
Yep.
And then when it got nut cutting time again, they started dominating again. And the same thing happened on Michigan's defensive line. I don't think I've ever seen Alabama get whipped up front on both sides of the ball like they did.
Watson, go with it.
I agree. I mean, I think Michigan's done it all year to everybody. So it doesn't surprise me because the strength of their team is their two fronts. Their offensive line, they lost a great player, and it's still really good. I think they lost him in the Ohio State game. But you hold Alabama to 288 yards in the game defensively, and it was because of the front, 100% because of the front. And I thought Michigan did a great job. I don't think Michigan just knocked them down all day long. They really got manhandled in the third quarter, couldn't do anything, couldn't get it going. But they were really sharp in their play action passes and man beaters that they had, and bringing backs from underneath and bringing linemen and tight ends across from the other side and running shallow picks across to where they could pick them clean. I mean, but some of the design plays that they ran at critical times in this game, I thought was unbelievable. And it's amazing it comes down to two plays. I mean, Michigan's got the ball handed off, and there's nothing in the AB gap, and their running back does a jump sideways jump start, and then hits the C gap and spins and gets in the end zone. Alabama had the same thing, nothing up the middle. And if Jalen had broke to the C gap, he might have had a chance to score. But the snap was bad, so he never even could see what's there. He had to grab a very low snap and then just take off with the ball. If it had been a good snap, it was nothing but the quarterback power. Very simple power play that everybody's run for 50 years. And the gap was one gap, two gaps wider. I don't know that he would have scored because the pulling guard coming around had gone too wide, and I'm not sure he was going to block the inside linebacker. But if you look at it close, there's where the gap was. And I blame it on the center, and he had a rough day, man. He hurt him bad in the game. I mean, you would think playing for a national championship, you would not have that many bad snaps with the center. Sometimes that's what the gun gets you, though, and that's why if I ever went back and did it again, I would never be a full gun team. Just never would. I just think there are times that you need to get under the center.
Yeah, and I'm kind of like that too, George. Like they had trouble with the center kind of all year, but yesterday especially. But I don't know. It looked like on that last play, it looked like it may have been an RPO. They sent the back out, and number 25, the Golson kid from Ravenwood, was behind him. I don't know if he could have thrown that ball because it was man-to-man out there. I think Michigan on the last play said, you know what, forget this. We're going to play cover zero. We're going to make you throw a ball. We're not going to let you run the football. And I think that's exactly what happened. But, George, they just like Coach talked about, that first touchdown that they got to Blake Corum, I mean, they schemed those guys up. They put a bunch to the left. They had Blake Corum on the right. They know that Alabama plays all that man-to-man stuff, and they brought guys over. They were actually running routes, but when a linebacker, I think number 32 had Blake Corum, when he's got to run through all that track, you just can't cover that. And the two times that they really needed to play was that time right there, and then later on in the game where they got a bunch to the right, and they brought Blake Corum from the left, and they shifted him over to the right, and they hit him out in the flat because they got a pick. I mean, Alabama plays so much of that man-to-man, that in-and-out match stuff, and it gets confusing to those guys, especially when you're in a big stadium and you can't communicate. And they did a really good job of scheming those guys up yesterday.
So let me toss
let me finish with that one first, George, and then you can take it another spot. What Kelly's saying is exactly right, and what happens in that, because I've done it a million times, when you throw a fourth man in those in and out pick stuff, it messes the whole thing up. And that's exactly what Michigan did. They were picking with three, and then they bring a fourth one underneath. One time it was the tailback to score, and the next time it was their best wide receiver that did it and scored. Same play, just did it with a different guy. And Kelly's also right about, I wondered if it was an RPO, but I read this morning, Nick said it was not. It was a straight quarterback power. I thought the same thing, Kelly. I wondered if that wasn't it. And he could pick what he wanted to do. Then he couldn't pick because he couldn't see because of the bad snap. But Nick said it was straight quarterback power. And you watch it close, there's nothing wrong with the call whatsoever. He's kept their coordinators catching grief for it. Good gracious. I mean, if you look at the play, it is there. They did not execute the play. The center had a bad snap, and the pulling guard was a little bit wide. I'm not sure that he would have gotten the inside linebacker. So it's more execution than it was play call to me.
And right tackle J.C. Latham got blown up. He's the one that almost tripped Milroe.
You know, that front man is bona fide, I'm telling you, and it's going to be, can the Washington front hold Michigan front? If they can, Washington wins and might win more than we think. Washington is good, man, if you let them throw it. If they can get back there and throw it, the best thrower in the country is right there now. He made some throws last night. Absolute bona fide throws, man. I mean, some seam passes and some layups and some wheel. I'm just everything. Deep post corners right on the money. I mean, what a game Michael Penix had. But he had time, and I'm not sure he's going to get the same amount against Michigan.
Let me go back to Alabama for a minute with both of you. The talking heads nationally are saying that Saban got outcoached, and in a couple of opinions, badly outcoached by Harbaugh. I don't feel that way in watching it. Both of y'all, Kelly, I'll start with you. Both of y'all weigh in on that.
Feel that way at all. I mean, they go in, you know, Coach Saban's going to make really good halftime adjustments. He always has. They did. I just don't feel that way at all. I mean, it was execution. Like when you're just like Watson talked about, when you're a quarterback and you're in the gun and something goes on with that snap, and that snap is not where you can catch it, you have to bend down. It messes up the rhythm of the play, and that happened over and over and over and over again in that game. And just like he said in his news conference, I mean, we shot ourselves in the foot many times. And Jalen Milroe is not a polished pocket passer right now. He's got to get better with that. But neither was Jalen Hurts, and Jalen Hurts has figured it out in the National Football League. But I don't think he got out coached at all. I just think you have to. When it presents itself, you have to make the plays, and they just didn't make those plays yesterday. Now on the defensive side of the ball, everybody knows what he runs. He's a man-to-man guy. I wish for myself that they would throw a little bit more zone in there sometimes. But I mean, he's got all these athletes, and just like Coach talked about, and people, he's right. And I said it, but I didn't say it's always bringing that fourth guy. People don't understand that, but when you bring that fourth guy in, where you've got three guys over there and they're picking for a guy, and you don't even have to pick. It's a natural pick. But when you play so much man-to-man, it gets so confusing, and you just can't cover the other guy that's coming through. And, that they did scheme him up on that stuff. But everybody's done that, and he's been running the same defense for years. Everybody understands that, but I just don't see him being out-coached like that. I mean, there were some unfortunate things that happened offensively that you center quarterback exchange. When you're not under center, it's tough. And when you have it's kind of happened all year with the center. He's had bad snaps all year, George. Even in the Auburn game, I mean, they had a bad snap right there where you had to go back and they make a miraculous play. So that's kind of happened all year, but I just don't see him being out coached.
Watson?
No, I don't. I think out executed, but not out coached. I mean, there's a point in time players got to go on the field and make plays, and I don't. The other thing that I read this morning, all of the sacks in the first half were mistakes by Alabama. And one thing they do that I've never believed in, not that that means a hill of beans, but I've always had my quarterback adjust the fronts and the protections. And he said the offensive line does that for them, and the center, whatever. And I just don't like that. I just think the quarterback needs to be the one to do it all, so he knows exactly what he's doing. I can remember through all my career, I'd say to the quarterback, okay, here's a blitz. You got one or two choices. You throw hot to this, or you turn the protection toward it. But you got to do one of the two. And I just don't like the lineman making that decision. But other than something like that, I just think they got out executed, and the snaps, and a lot of it was offensive line stuff, honestly, in the game. I thought Jalen Milroe played a really good game. I mean, he is a tough nut now because he took some shots last night. But I just don't like George and Kelly. I don't like linemen making protection calls. I just don't think it's philosophically. I think everything needs to come from the quarterback.
Now George,
let me reiterate that, man, because when I played, that was my weapon, my brain. I mean, I know you don't understand that, George. You don't think that because you know me, but that was my weapon, my brain. I understood stuff, and I knew, like when I was with Cleveland and Bruce, I would fix the protection if I knew, because I don't want to get hit. I couldn't stand getting hit. So just like Coach talked about, like we had to change the protection all the time. Where if the center always comes up and he signals a mic, so that tells, if it's an even front, that tells the line we got the 4 down and we got the mic guy. Well, if they're starting to bring pressure somewhere, well, I've got the opportunity to change the protection and bring the mic back. So I know that I've got a 6-man protection over here where my back can pick that stuff up. Well, that puts a more onus on your quarterback knowing things. You have to be in the film room a lot. You have to understand what the defense is doing to you. But I always wanted to be in control of that because I'm the guy behind center. I'm the guy that's controlling this offense. And Coach is absolutely right. You got to put that on the quarterback, and that involves a lot of studying, a lot of understanding. And if you don't understand, you need to get with the coach and say, hey, why are we doing this? Why do I need to change the protection? You need to understand that, and it takes a lot of responsibility. But that's I couldn't imagine having an offensive line or a center doing that for me. I couldn't see that.
Let's go to game number 2. There is a point early in the third quarter until about midway through the fourth quarter where Washington absolutely kicked Texas's butt. And yet, Texas had a shot at the end to win the thing in a miracle kind of comeback. Watson, I got to admit, when Texas got 1st and 10 from the 12 with 26 seconds, something like that, I got to admit, I didn't like any of the play calls that Sark went with from that point on.
No, he got zero man or he got quarters coverage on all 4 of those plays. It was the same thing on all 4 plays. And I was just expecting a double post. Quarters coverage, one of the things you love to do is double post. And they were doubling the two. They were doubling the 2 best players, and they were singling the other 2 when they were playing some form of man or they played straight quarters. Either one of those double posts would give them that. And they threw, 3 layup balls and soft layup balls out of the 4 calls. I agree. I didn't like any of the calls at the end. It's easy to say that. We may not understand exactly what all that Texas was thinking or what the screw-up were. The players could have done something wrong. Quarterback could have taken it to the wrong place. I don't know. But I just kept saying double post, double post, double post, because one of them's going to be singly covered. One of them's going to be singly covered. They were in 2-by-2s, George, on all 4 plays, 2-by-2s. So that meant, and one of their great players was on one side and one was on the other. So they were going to get single coverage, period, on one of the guys. And he could have picked either side he wanted to throw the skinny post to, and instead of throwing those layup passes. They need to change the rule, though, George, when somebody gets hurt. They need to stop the clock till he's off the field, and if it's a running clock, then start it back again. That stopping the clock for that injury and giving Texas that time, man, that's not right. I don't like that rule. They've got to change that daggum thing.
Kelly?
Double post, man. Even Greg McElroy talked about it on the broadcast. That's how you beat that coverage. You're right. I'm always going to go with the play callers. Coach Brown knows how tough it is, man. You get into those situations, you've got to go over those situations in your head if you're Sarkisian. But double post, man, they go play that quarters. There's going to be somebody open. There's 3 guys out there over 2, and they were trying to double like Coach was talking about. And you got one of them, at least that gives you an opportunity to get the ball into the end zone with the completed pass. I just don't like the, trying to throw it up to a guy. I mean, if the guy's not up in his face, I never did like those throw ups, man. It's a hard deal. You got the guy looking in the backfield. And when you get down there on the goal line, that's just a tough throw. And if you try to back shoulder it, he's already looking at you, so he's going to pick it off. So it was amazing that they got down there. I think they started with 45 seconds. They had that long where they used number 2 and they ran him on that inside. We used to call it like a fade route where they hook the guy up. They know it's man to man. They made a really good play and they got it down there. I thought they had a chance, but I thought they should have run a double post just like Coach was talking about. And Greg McElroy even talked about it on the broadcast. That's what gave them the best opportunity to score.
Watson, I'll admit up front, this is an easy second guess right now. I'm not a big Quinn Ewers fan. I think he's a me. If I'm Texas, I open up in spring practice, open competition between him and Arch Manning. I just don't think he's that good.
I don't think Arch would be staying if he hadn't been told that, George. I think it will be open. And I think there's a great chance he gets beat out. To me, he's just not as consistent as he needs to be, and yet then he'll turn around and make a great play. Some of the throws late in the game were great throws. I mean, getting down there. But when you get to the 12, left 10, whatever it was, and you throw I've always said they say 50-50 balls. I don't think it's 50-50. If you're getting pressed, I think it's 60-40 for the offense. If you're throwing a layup ball because of angles, if you're throwing a layup ball with a corner off of you, it's 60-40 defense because of the angle for the corner. And I thought the last play of the game showed it better than any. He has the angle on the ball. The receiver's trying to get turned to get to it, and the DB's looking right into it. Well, it's the exact opposite when you get press man. And so that's why I just didn't like the call. I promise you, I'm not one to second guess guys because I've made many bad ones, but I can promise you Sark is sick. He himself is saying, uh-oh, these couple of calls here were not very good.
Kelly, what am I missing on Quinn Ewers?
No, I don't have a problem with Quinn Ewers. I don't know. He's not overly consistent sometimes. I still think he's a pretty good football player. I don't know if you may be right, George. I don't know. He may be a me guy. I don't know. But with the way that college football is now, I think the Mannings. I think they're upstanding people. I don't know if they want to do all that transfer stuff, the transfer portal stuff. And Archie's even come out and said, Peyton played as a true freshman, but Eli didn't play till it was his third year that he was able to play. So I think that they understand that there's a little adversity that you're going to have to go through, but I can see with the way things are now that in order to keep him, Sarkisian's probably said, there's probably been something said that said, we're going to open this thing up in the spring and you're going to have an opportunity to play to beat him out.
Okay. On the Washington end, Penix gave us a Heisman Trophy winner performance last night. Watson, his ability to drop the ball in the bucket is the best going, period.
Oh my gracious. He throws the deep ball as good as anybody I've seen in college football do. I mean, he can throw a deep ball and that point's still coming right down at you, man. I mean, it's really pretty. He's got quick release. He doesn't have to wind up to throw a deep ball. He's very compact. He can take a 6-inch step and throw, where a lot of these guys have to take a long stride to throw a deeper ball. And I'm telling you, I don't see a better passer in college football. And Michigan better score some points because they're not going to hold this team down to 20 like Alabama. They're not going to do it. And they better score some points, and they may have to loosen up a little more. But the good thing they got going, if they can run it down their throat, now that'll shorten that game big time. But Michael Penix is bona fide. And I mean, he is as cool as they come now. I mean, he is a cool customer. Nothing phases him. I mean, I'm really impressed with him. I'm not sure he didn't up his stock in the draft. And if he does that again next week, he may move way up the ladder.
So, Kelly, Michigan is going to try and pound it down Washington's throat, and it's a strategy that makes a lot of sense. Can Michigan win the game if they can't cram it down Washington's throat?
Golly, man, I don't know, George. You just never know how a game is going to turn out. You've got a game plan, but that's what Mike Tyson said a long time ago. Everybody has a game plan until they get hit in the mouth. So I don't know how that's going to go. I think everybody's doubted Washington. We even doubted Washington about the first time they played Oregon. We thought Oregon would win. They beat them.
And the second time we were totally convinced.
Yeah, totally. And the second time, we were totally convinced that they wouldn't. And then Michael Penix won the game again when he had to make a throw at the end. They needed a first down, and he made a throw. He's been that guy, Johnny on the spot, all year, George. And everybody keeps doubting those guys, and they keep pulling through. And, man, one of those touchdown throws he threw it through somebody's hand so fast. And I have never really – he's been kind of one of those guys where you don't know and you're just not sure. But, like, man, the way he's playing and the way that he can throw that football, George.
You're sure now.
I think they got to be, man. I think they're dynamic on the offensive side of the ball. And I got to agree with Watson. I don't think they're going to be able to hold them like they did Alabama because they've got guys outside that can do it. They got a quarterback that can spin it. He knows what he's doing. He knows probably how to change those protections. And he knows that if he's not protected, he's got to get rid of that football. And I think that if Michigan does not control the game on the run game, that they could be in some trouble.
By the way, Michigan opens about a 4-point favorite in the title game. After the break, we're going to show you what the pairings would have been if this year we had a 12-team playoff, and then we'll get into the issues of the day that are out there. and there are a bunch of them. College football and more next.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
The George Plaster Show is Nashville's best sports talk, 2 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. There's a podcast version available on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs.
All right. No breaking news, Sounder.
Why?
I got to load it up. It takes a little bit.
No, I think you're worried that Kelly was going to rip you.
No, Kelly doesn't.
It's a weak sounder.
Kelly doesn't faze me.
Really?
Oh, is that right? Okay. All right. All right, wee man. We'll figure that out.
I'm like Michael Penix in the pocket, like Watson was talking about when
Really?
Kelly's trying to get at me.
I was thinking more like, well, whatever.
Anyway, Liberty quarterback Caden Salter has planned to enter the transfer portal. He's a sophomore, and he led Liberty to a 13-1 record. He'll have 2 years left. My guess, Auburn.
Kelly. Makes sense.
That would be my guess, too, because the Auburn coach just left Liberty.
Yep.
I'm sure he's already been contacted by old Hugh Freeze some way.
No, I'm shocked. I'm shocked you would think that. So we're headed toward a 12-team playoff, and this is just me. We've got a bowl system now that doesn't work. We got too many games where the upper deck isn't even opened up.
Right.
because they're like, stick them all down low, make it look good for TV. And then you got the Pop-Tarts Bowl where the highlight is the announcers eating a Pop-Tart. On that, I should have been hired. I'm a big Pop-Tart fan. The bowls need some help. We're going to get to that in a minute. But first, if we had had a 12-team playoff, the 4 teams that played last night would have all gotten a bye. Here are the matchups according to the college football playoff system if we had had 12 this year. Florida State, Oklahoma would be your 5-12. Georgia, Ole Miss, Billy, 6-11.
Oh, my bad.
Oh, Kelly.
It's just unprofessional, Billy. I mean, good gracious, dude! Don't you see that, my man?
I don't
10
know how
and
I missed
10.
that. That's my fault.
Oh, it's more fun to watch you screw it up. 7-10, Ohio State, Penn State, 8-9, Oregon, and Missouri. So, Watson, 2 things that pop out to me. Number one, my guess is that the committee will do some finagling. They will not want Big Ten teams to play each other or SEC teams to play each other. What do you think?
Yeah, but they'll never admit that. But
No,
yeah,
I know
think
that.
so. But I think they'll try, but they got to start early because they can't have somebody ranked here and then they stay there. So they better be careful with that. That's amazing that already in that 12 that 2 the same in the conference played each other, right? SEC had one and the Big Ten had one, right? And teams that did Ole Miss play Georgia?
They did
so
in
this
the
year,
regular season, got beat around
and got
pretty
clobbered.
good. Yes.
Yeah, got clobbered, didn't they? So both, and Penn State did play Ohio State. So I don't know. I'm not sure it matters. Those would all. I didn't see a bad game in what you said, though. Not a bad game in the 12.
Okay, let me try it this way. I've heard all this talk, and honestly, I don't know if they've made the decision yet. But these 4 games that you're seeing right now on the screen, this is how it will work a year from now. I believe the concept of on campus, I think you need to prop up a bunch of these bowls that right now are more worried about Pop-Tarts than they are, opt-outs. And that you've got to you've got to create, for instance, when our city gets a dome stadium, we need one of these 4 games. I believe we've shot ourselves in the foot on getting a national title game because it's only 60,000 seats. But we dang sure ought to be able to compete for one of those 4 games. Should we not?
I think the on-campus part of it is what a lot of people are promoting and I think are excited about. So that it might be tough. I'm not saying I disagree. I'm not saying I disagree with it. I just think that's what a lot of people are fired up about.
Okay, Kelly, you start it. Give me some thoughts.
Yeah, I don't know. You could be right, George. You could be right, but I think that is a huge incentive to have a game on campus. And I'm with you. I think there's way too many bowls. I've been saying to people that's come over to my house in this bowl season, I talk to my family, like I can remember growing up when you had the Orange Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, all those bowls on New Year's Day, and all these kids were so excited to be in those bowls. There wasn't many. But now you've got a Poulon Weed Eater Bowl. You've got a Toilet Bowl. I mean, it's just there's so many bowls. I'm not a big fan of it, but I don't know how you do it, George. But I think that's a huge incentive. And I'm like Billy, I don't know how you could get off when you can have it on your campus. You can have one of those deals on your campus. I don't know how you get around that, George. I really don't know the answer to that question. It's going to be tough, and I think that's a big incentive to get one of these playoff games on campus.
So, Watson, the argument for me is it's the weekend of December the 20th-ish, somewhere in there. I don't have the exact date. Most colleges have let out final exams are over. George has flunked and knows he's going to summer school. I mean, aren't you better off putting this in cities and saying, okay, Music City Bowl, it's not going to be Maryland Auburn, which, by the way, bless their heart, was a dud. That turned into a bad football game. But all of a sudden, you make it part of a national playoff system. You elevate any bowl that's out there to a new status.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I'm different than the other two guys. I think they need to tie it to a bowl. And I worry about students gone. I worry about half of them up north where it could be really bad weather. I just, and I think these bowls are going to fight to be one of those in that 12-team playoff. I think they're going to fight. What are there, 6 now tied to the national championship, and they rotate? Isn't that right?
Yes.
Yep.
And you add a few more. You don't have to add many. I think they start out saying, well, we worry about these early games. There won't be people coming to them. Oh, they will show. Their fans will show. I mean, I don't know how these people do it now. You go from Michigan all the way to the West Coast and you spend a week out there, the money you'd spend doing that with your family and turn around and do it again the next week and go to Houston, and they do it. It's amazing to me. College football fans are fans, and if they think they're not going to fill these stadiums with those games, I think they're nuts. I would keep eyeing it to the bowls, and I don't think we're being fair to the bowls now. The better bowls that have been around a long time, we need to be taking care of. These new ones, that's a different animal. But these older bowls that have been around, the Citrus Bowl being a great example. It used to be the Tangerine Bowl. And not to take care of it. The Citrus Bowl with Tennessee, and they had a bunch of people there. But they closed it. Looked like the upper decks were basically shut down.
They were hiding Patty Hearst up there.
And you've used that one many times before, Kid. I don't know if he's used it this year, but he's used that one in the past.
So do I need to come up with a different person?
Just get some change and get you another one instead of Patty. Poor old Patty.
Okay.
I mean, come on, let's go somewhere else. Now, I am with Kelly on cut. My thing is, and nobody's agreed with me on this one. Sometimes I come up with off the wall. What I would do with these smaller bowls, I'd cut out some, and I'd cut the 6-and-6 guys out. I'd cut them out. But I'd wait a week, 3 or 4 days anyway, before let the bowls, those lower bowls after the 12, wait just a little bit longer to let them pick. And then if somebody's losing opt-outs everywhere and they're 8-4 or 7-5 and they don't have enough to play and know they shouldn't play, then let a 6-and-6 bump up in the mix. That's what I would do. And I just don't. When you're 6-6 and you go to, we didn't get to go to bowls at UAB being 7-5. And now 6-6 goes, even 5-7s are some going. How does it be 6-6, go to a bowl and lose the game and you end up with a losing season? That don't tie to the feelings I used to have about bowls for me.
And now all you get is Pop-Tarts.
You needed to do something special to get to go to a bowl. You needed to do something special, and 6-6 is not special.
Kelly, close it out.
That's right. I mean, I can't. That's absolutely right, man. I don't know where this is going to be headed, but I will say this. You know, I'm upset about all the opt-out stuff. I'm pretty sure that Watson would be too. I don't like it. I really like. I'm going to say it again on the broadcast. I really like what Bo Nix didn't have to play. He's going on. He didn't have to play yesterday. He had nothing to play for, but he wanted to finish it out with his team. That's what I would do. I think this 12-team playoff, you're going to have better games. You're not going to get all these dudes opting out because they've all got a chance to win a national championship. So you're going to get more players to play. But I don't know where you go with that. I really don't, George. That's where I'm upset at the system. I just don't. but it's, everything is it rolls around money. We talk about it every time we get on this broadcast. It's all about money. And I don't like the opt-out stuff from these young men. I know they're about to make a lot of money and they don't want to get injured, but you started this thing, and I wish they would finish it with their team. I really do.
Okay. Here's something I did not take into account as I put this together. You realize that in this mock 12 that we projected out for this year, even though there wasn't a 12.
There's got to be a group of 5 in there, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Now that's what I didn't put in there.
Right.
But you realize that in what is there, the SEC had 5 and the Big Ten had 4. Texas being an SEC team coming in, and
Oklahoma,
Oregon being, Oregon being a Big Ten team.
And what you're saying,
George,
too,
that's
is the Big 12 and ACC basically being weeded out.
Yeah.
That's why, George, they went to 12. They couldn't get these teams to come if they weren't going to get multiple teams out of those conferences. They wouldn't have come. If they were coming and said, well, we're only going to have one go to the playoffs, we ain't coming. Texas and Oklahoma would not have come. But the SEC convinced them, don't worry about it. There's going to be multiple teams coming from our power conference. And that's why that's going to come down to 2, maybe 3. Maybe the ACC holds on and grabs some Big 12. But I'm just telling you, I'm not sure it's fixing to be 2.
Okay.
Unbelievable. And not tomorrow. I'm not saying about tomorrow, but that's where it's headed to me.
Kelly, are both Tennessee and Ole Miss in this 12 next year?
Ole Miss, yeah. And the way that if Nico keeps getting better, we got a small serving of him yesterday, but the guy looks like he's natural at it. If he can play well and they can put some receivers, they're gonna have to get some guys out of the transfer portal to take the top off the defense, and guys that can run like Hendon Hooker had. Yes, they will be in it.
Watson?
Yeah, Ole Miss will be there. I think Tennessee will. Tennessee has built the team part. They're getting depth. They need playmakers, and they've got the money to go get them. So go get them. They need playmakers to take the next step. They had them the year before, but they need to go back and get some receivers like they had the year before. I think the running backs are really good. Line's going to be good again. Defense is getting better and better and better. The team built is there. Playmakers they need to come up with, and I think they will. I think they'll be there. I think they'll be one of the 12.
Watson, thank you. Happy New Year to you and your family, and we'll do this again soon.
Happy New Year, guys. Always an honor. Talk to you.
Brother.
The honor's on our end. After the break, the plaster bet of the day with a little bit of controversy. Billy has used a not very good weekend to try to embarrass me and get me started on the wrong foot.
That's not what I'm doing here.
We'll explain it when we come back.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
You were in a crash.
Yeah.
Your kids were in the car with you.
We're very lucky to even be telling this story to you. Nikki treated us like family, and she was very caring and loving, and I'm just so grateful for that. She was somebody I could trust, and being a veteran, that's so important to me. My kids are going to have a better life now because I don't have to worry about those expenses that we were out. Your family has really created a legacy of trust, and I would recommend you to anyone.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com. Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday. Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
Final segment on a Tuesday. Not a ton of action tonight. Football ends for a little bit. Of course, we got Thursday night, and then we got national title next Monday. We got the Preds against the Blackhawks tonight. We'll see where George is going. But first, Bart Durham Injury Law. Give him a call, 615-242-9000, or log on to bartdurham.com. I want to take a moment to appreciate George's success before ripping him after this weekend. 123 and 109 final record.
Mm-hmm.
And
Nice.
three ties.
Right.
It's pretty good, George. Pretty good.
It's a hell of a lot better than the first year.
The first year was over 500.
Was it?
Yes.
I'll have to go back
You
and
just
check.
need to.
I need to
Trying
confirm
to keep you
that.
down, ain't he, George?
Yeah, you just need to pipe down a little bit.
Yeah. Pipe down, wee man.
Wee man.
So, okay, we took on some water this weekend.
Yes, we did.
Okay, Alabama, they didn't win. Texas, they didn't win. Tampa Bay got shredded. The Dolphins got shredded. Oh,
brutal.
Awful.
Hey, this just in. The Ravens are pretty good.
Yes, they are.
God,
they are dominant.
But
and Lamar has learned how to throw the football, which is scary for other teams.
But people were saying the same thing about Baltimore the year the Titans went to Maryland and won in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Remember?
Mm-hmm.
Just a thought. I bet that video's playing in the Raven locker room.
Yes, it is.
That week. Okay, so apparently I start out 2-4, even though I believe some of these were in 2023.
In theory.
No, they were.
How many of these?
Yeah. So really what you were trying to do was tear down and get me off to a bad start. But I'm not going to let that bother me because I know what I know.
This is what I know.
This is what I know.
It should actually be 2-2, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow, Billy.
Okay.
Wow. Way to beat on a man.
I'll make that correct.
Way to stomp on a man when he's down, Billy. That's the way to go.
So tonight, this is a game the Preds have got to win. By the way, tomorrow, we'll talk a little bit of hockey. And when you see the race in the Western Conference for the 7th and the 8th positions, all of a sudden the Preds have got a little company.
Mm-hmm.
They got a little Seattle. They got a little Calgary. They got a little of this and a little of that, which makes games like tonight games you got to win. Yes, Connor Bedard is a really good young talent, the best young talent in hockey. The rest of his team sucks. The Preds have got to win tonight, and they will. They are a prohibitive favorite to do just that.
That 275 means heavy favorite.
Means you put up $50 and they don't win, you lose $137.50. Yeah.
Yikes.
50 times 2.75.
You
better feel really confident if you're going to do that. Kelly, Happy New Year to you.
Guys, y'all too, man. Good seeing y'all again. We got the crew back together. I feel good. I know Billy missed me. I understand that, man. It's hard. It's hard not to miss old Kel every now and then, Billy.
Oh, Kelster.
You'll be okay, though. You'll be okay.
Did you at any point during the holiday say to yourself, I miss Kelly?
I mean, the banter is what I miss.
No, I'm asking, did it ever
You
pop
just said
into
it,
your
George.
mind?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we
Yes.
were texting a little
That's
bit.
not the answer I was looking for.
You want me to say, heck no?
Heck no. Hell no.
Yeah,
We're out of
Billy.
here. See you tomorrow.
Get rid of that volunteer state sweatshirt, George. It's old and haggard.
It is old and it is haggard. So am I.
Yeah.